Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to the main stage here at Event Tech Live 2021. If you are just joining us, good morning to you. Welcome back to the stream. But I say, if you have just joined us, you've already missed a session this morning all about collaboration. It's been absolutely fantastic to see the collaboration live in London this week with all the exhibitors. And we've got some feedback from Rachel Williams after that session. Well done, Event Tech. So many times my Event Tech suppliers have saved the day by reaching out to other suppliers for solutions and not worrying about the fact they could be competitors. As a client, I really appreciate that. That is the sort of feedback we absolutely love, Rachel. Thank you very much for sending that in. That is absolutely fantastic to hear. You took that away from the session, and that all the exhibitors and all suppliers from the event tech world are now working together to provide better solutions for event planners. So fantastic stuff. But up next, ladies and gents, we have our 11 o'clock session now. As we all know, the world of work has changed, the way different companies are working. People are socially distanced, a lot more working from home. So this is a very relevant topic. How to maintain a culture of innovation with a distributed workforce. So for this session, we'd like to welcome Sarah Manning from Hopin. Sarah, good morning. How are you?
Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning. It's great to be here.
Well, fantastic for you to join us, Sarah. Really looking forward to this session. If you are prepped and ready, looking forward to it, the floor is yours.
Super. Thank you so much. Hope everybody's enjoying the event so far. So I'm Sarah Manning. I head up the people team here at Hopin. When I say here at Hopin, not physically here because we are fully remote. So I'm going to talk about remote culture, how we maintain kind of the innovation that we have within our team, being fully distributed. And I'll get into some of how fully distributed we are because we're proper distributed in a little bit. But I am going to kick off with some interesting insight that I've been curious about over the last while. I'm always somebody who has had my manager pretty much for most of my career in a different location to me. So for me, the shift to going remote when COVID hit, working kind of flexibly, some of the time from home, some of the time in office, traveling. I love it. It's what I thrive in, but it is a difficult shift for, especially for more senior leaders to shift their mindset to. So I know there's a study that we looked into by McKinsey that shows that I think pre-COVID and pre the pandemic, 99% of the most senior leaders of C-suite executives expected their employees to be in the office at least 80% of the time. So I do think we've shifted over the last number of years from the traditional Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. It's not the typical way every company works anymore. But interestingly, like just over a year ago, almost 100% of leaders still expected people to be in a office 80% of the time. But now, post the pandemic, it's now 40% are expecting employees in the office between about 51% and 80% of the time, and another 40% expecting teams in an office 21 to 50% of the time. So it's a really interesting dynamic of just shifting thoughts. I think it's just shifting ways of perceiving how we work and where we work and the benefits that we gain. Because I think what the great work from home experiment that most of us participated in, or many of us participated in over the last 18 months or so since the pandemic, was that it worked. It worked in most cases, and oftentimes people were more productive. But I think generally, while leaders are warming up to the idea, there's still a lot of uncertainty around full remote work. Particularly when it comes to some of the stuff in the people space, like about how do you maintain culture? How do you ensure productivity? How do you ensure that people are staying connected and collaborating? So that's what, if I move on to what Hopin has been doing, if I advance the slide. There we go. So, and by the way, I've learned something new today with the event tech. I didn't know there was internet clicker that you can do on your phone that I can advance slides. Maybe I am late to the party, but I got very excited when I just learned about this a few minutes ago. And it's very simple. Anyway, so without being distracted by my new tool that I've learned. So who we are at Hopin in terms of what we do? We are a fully distributed company. We're new. We're we're founded in 2019. We grew from 8 employees kind of towards the end of 2019. We founded, incorporated the company kind of mid 2019, but only hired our first very small number of developers and engineers at the end of 2019. But we've grown from then to now to over 900. So it has been, I joined towards the end of last year, so it's been a pretty amazing rocket ship journey over this last while. But in terms of our distribution, we're in 47 countries. Now, there's a whole other conversation I could get into. Ping me if anybody wants to go there separately in terms of the compliance elements to that. And when I joined, at the point when I joined, we were already in 45. Which gave me some palpitations coming in to head up the people team, just from a how are we engaging everybody, and that is not for today, but that was one of my probably my first concern was the compliance element to how are we engaging people and where do we have entities. We don't have entities in 47 countries, so that was a whole other thing. But after that, and probably at the fore with that top of mind for me was the engagement. Like, how if we're in 47 different countries, we didn't have a clear strategy on why we were in certain countries. We were just open. A lot of what we do as a business in terms of our platform is remove borders from being able to attend events like this, and being able to collaborate remotely. So it was a lot of what the intention was about the company that we were building. Was to be remote and not to be able to bring a workforce together. It was kind of like the challenge that was pitched on me and our leadership team was, let's make this work, but let's make this exceptional. Like, be purposely remote. We have no office, we have no hubs, fully distributed team in right across that number of countries. So certainly comes with its challenges. As I click on here, yes. So how do we do it? So that was one of the things that the team before I started had already done a lot of thinking in this space. And in summary, like when I was thinking about this session, if I could put it down to, it's probably three things. That it has to start at the beginning. It has to be really, really clear when people are going to join a remote company, what it is and what it isn't. Because there's certain things you do miss, and there's no making up for that. So you're not going to be in the office, or where I came from before, we had breakfast and everybody met together and Friday drinks, and there's a certain element of that coming together that you naturally lose. Like, that is, it is not, there's no direct replacement for that, but there are other ways that we can do it, and there are other ways that we can have that connection. But we are super clear about what it is and what it isn't when it comes to at the recruitment stage, because there's no point, and I'll talk about onboarding and doing that well in a moment. But one of the things with recruiting, there's no point, let's not waste time on pipelining, on interviews, if actually this setup doesn't work for somebody. So being super transparent to the recruiting stage, onboarding, I touched on it now, but really helping somebody to understand, how do I get access to information? How, like, the logistics of shipping physical things, how do we do that when we're now dealing with home addresses and not just maybe 10 offices around the world where we can ship things to? So it's really thoughtful and purposeful is maybe a better word for it, in onboarding somebody and getting somebody set up to succeed in this environment. I actually don't love how I've worded this in the slide now that I look at it. It's not an always on culture. This probably should be like an always available culture. Always on culture, we use the word always on because we talk about always on in terms of feedback and being connected. But as I see it here, just for it doesn't say always on culture. We are not referring it to somebody being always on in terms of working. That is not the intent. So I'm going to tweak this after this. But just to be clear, it's always available, that you can contact somebody, you can connect to somebody, you can get an answer pretty much any time because of how we're distributed and how we document some of what we document, our processes and what we do. So digging into these a little bit on recruiting. So this is where I'm testing now. There's my clicker. So a couple of things here to call out that we are pretty specific about. So these things, this is almost like the title of the slide is transparent recruiting, but it's about making clear to people, this is what it is and this is what it will be. So we don't, we don't micromanage, because we can't. Like, it's even if we wanted to, we can't, because we are not going to be checking what time someone logs in at. We are not going to be. It's not a good use of time. What we focus on is the impact. What we focus on is the outcome, the what has been delivered, the how it's been delivered. So it's the impact that it has on the business. So we make each of these things clear right at the beginning. So right when somebody is meeting our recruiters, are meeting our panels of hiring managers, and getting to know us, because the way I always look at it is it's a two-way thing. It's like, yes, we want to hire the best talent, but it has to be the right fit for that person. And in some instances, actually quite recently, even for me, I was hiring somebody on our team, and there was a person I knew, she'd been referred, I'd worked with her before. And when I went through this, it wasn't for her. And that isn't like, a lot of people are super excited about it, but there are certain things that, being, working from home all the time, if you have a small apartment or house share, and it works for a lot of people, but just in some instances this setup may not work. So we do try to be super transparent about what it is and what it isn't. So a couple of the other things that in terms of how we operate and how we work as a company, we have low ego. It is not about, we have to be open and fluid, because if we slow, there's no the formality of some of the processes that work in the office don't work distributed. So we need to be open to always be like, to get whether it's a Slack message or some type of jumping on a call, we are available, and open to feedback, and open to seeking different diverse perspectives that spark innovation. And that's one of the things with seeking diverse perspectives. That is one of the beauties of having a team of only 900 plus people distributed in 47 different countries. We have huge differences of opinions, we have huge differences of perspective, and being open to hearing those, which is what we, honestly, from our CEO to everybody in the company, we talk about it regularly. That is how we move fast. That is how we build amazing products, and that is what and will have us succeed as a team together. We also, one of the things for us is solving problems before they arise, and I think this is like another word for this, maybe, is just like the proactivity. So because we are for me, I'm actually left my home for the first time on a work trip. I'm meeting my team for the first time in person. So we're in a shared workspace at the moment, but pretty much 95% of my time I'm at home. So it's creating the expectation that we're not just sitting receiving work. That is not how we are going to innovate and create the next best products. We are thinking about it. So we talk regularly about observing everything that's going on in every team's, not just your own team or expertise, but observe everything as users, as customers, and forecast and predict and look around corners. We obviously lead, like, with being in so many multiple countries, we lead with empathy. And that's not, I mean, we lead with empathy is a good thing anyway, because we strive for inclusivity, but not just, Hopin we were founded to kind of break down geographic barriers. That's the principle of what we sell. It's also the principle of how we employ and how we engage people, and to bring people together. It's the right thing to do, but that's something, to me, it's regardless of the borders, whether you're in the office in one city and there's people at home in the same city, it's the same principle. You don't know what people are carrying with them. You don't have that same walking out the door to leave personal problems behind. Not that we always do that anyway, but there's no physical change. Like, I get up in the morning, I try to have a routine around, now that I'm doing this like full time, create a routine that gives me some separation, but it's still, if you're in the same physical location, you're not leaving anything behind. So leading with empathy for us is really important, and being empathetic to, we see somebody like this, we're seeing somebody on screen, but we don't know what's literally in the next room to them. We don't know what's going on. So always coming in with compassion and empathy, and being open and inclusive to so many multiple perspectives and ideas, and always advocating for the customer, putting ourselves in the shoes of our customers, our users, our organizers, to understand and make sure that we are always taking feedback. So it's listening to feedback from customers as well as our colleagues internally, and being super, super open to that. That is actually, if I move the slide on. Um, um, Let me just. So this is my punishment for for raving about a product that I hadn't used before. So I need to make sure my phone doesn't time out or lock on me, because that was my delay there. So apologies. So what this slide shows is we've actually labeled these our values. So, and these values actually existed before I even joined. So our founder and our early team, we thought through that. They've evolved slightly and we've tweaked some wording, but the principle around it hasn't. The principles around these values haven't changed. So we actually do label them. So the first one is prioritize impact. To me, this is fundamental for a remote culture, for any team that is distributed. Because for me, like, you wake up in the morning, especially being in a startup, especially being in an environment that is so fast paced and there's so much to do, and I can get lost. I can drift in emails and in Slack messages, and I'm being pulled in so many different directions that if I don't have the ability and the opportunity to simply focus on what is going to deliver impact for my business for today, what is going to deliver impact for my team, what is going to make a difference, that is what grounds me. That is what grounds our team. And we are pretty uh, consistent in terms of how we express this to people. And that's also how people can go and like figure out their day. And we don't expect a 9 to 5. We don't, and that's kind of like the opposite to why remote work works. Like, as an example, I work a lot with the US, so I'll work in the evening. So in the morning, I'll go for a run or go to the gym, or at lunchtime, I'll go pick up my kids from school and spend time with them. So I've had to unlearn in my like 20-year career, unlearn how I work on a day-to-day basis. And many people coming to work remote, that's what we've many of us have had to do. We've all had to figure it out during COVID, over the last while. But if that's many of us, I think initially, especially for me as well, I was like, okay, this is temporary. Let me just figure this out. It's a point in time. But actually, if this is my go forward, if this is a go forward way of working for me personally, as well as our teams and many people around the world, grounding ourselves in prioritizing not just outcomes, but the impact those outcomes have. What is going to have the most impact? And that doesn't have to be like solving the company's main goal, but it is something in your work stream and what your deliverables are and what you're focused on and what your purpose is in your company, about feeling good about your day. Because if you spend the day just reacting to other people and responding to emails and messages, you don't necessarily feel that satisfaction of achieving and advancing and getting stuff done, which is what we all get up in the morning to do and to achieve. The next one we brand, it is a hashtag. It is a no ego hashtag, which is what the piece where I spoke about always being open to feedback. Because we're in so many countries and we have so many different perspectives, it's how we are. So we don't have, for any HR people folks or people interested in this space on the call, or in the event, we don't do formal performance reviews. We haven't done it ever. We have no formal time in the year, be it quarterly or biannual or annual, that we sit down and say, hey, managers, go give a rating or do your feedback now. Because it's like, this is a big debate. This could go down a whole other rabbit hole. But from my learning and my experience, and especially being a distributed company, it's not helpful. It's too slow. It is too slow. And I find managers will wait. So they'll wait and they're, okay, hang on, the performance reviews in 6 weeks' time. I'll just take all of these notes and then we'll talk about it. But what have you missed in that time? Like, what have you missed? What could have been changed? What could have been done better? So giving feedback in the moment, and the reason that we call this no ego, it's that we should be open. We should be open to hearing, not just from your manager, but from other teams, different perspectives. If we believe in the final value on the slide here, customer champions, we need to be open to hearing from everybody who has a perspective that's going to help make us deliver better internally, that will create better products, and we'll have better, happier customers at the end of the day. So having that as like a hashtag no ego, is an important one for us. But what I view it as is simply being open. We hear feedback from others. We will change. We will make mistakes, and we will fix them. But we are open to hearing, and we're open to listening. And then I've spoken before on the other slide about what they mean in terms of one step ahead, always looking to seek problems before they arise, and leading with empathy, which is critical in I would say any environment, but in particular because we're distributed. So just there we go. The other piece then, which flows on from that. So all of that is probably more of a summary of how we work, like our day to day. But we try to make that as clear as possible at the recruiting process and at the early stage before somebody makes the decision to, hey, is this the place where I want to work? Um, the next piece in relation to onboarding. So this becomes tricky when logistically for hiring people who are working from home in their home country across multiple countries. So again, looking into some research on this, I'll just call out a couple of these stats because you can see them all there. But one that I find really powerful is 20% of new hires leave their job for a new opportunity within the first 45 days. So that mightn't just be onboarding, but something has happened. Was it not the right fit, or have they not felt that they fit in? Do they not feel like they belong? What has happened there? And then the other one, like from some Glassdoor research, organizations with strong onboarding processes improve new hire retention by 82% and productivity by over 70%. So this is something I'm super passionate about really creating a great onboarding experience for people. Totally being punished for not for raving about the app. Even I still think it's great. I think it's just because I didn't take the lock off my phone. Anyways, so a couple of the things, logistics that I spoke about right at the top of this. It's hard. So I'm not going to lie. It is hard to try and ship and figure out the logistics, the security, everything from shipping laptops, literally shipping equipment, shipping hardware to all the different locations, but it is critical. So it is one of those things to set people up to succeed, to be as innovative as possible. They have to have the basics. We have to supply that, like, meet those basic needs so that they are there, but that it's not a concern. You don't want somebody like on their first day going, oh my God, my laptop hasn't arrived. So we need to make sure that we are, and it starts with the entire recruitment funnel, so that we have to be quite strict in terms of hire dates so that we can have equipment and our IT team can get stuff shipped and get stuff set up and get people onboarded onto all the technical platforms, equipment that we use. And comms. So if we look at onboarding communication, there is communication in advance, and it's a steady cadence of communication from that moment of someone has accepted an offer to letting them know what to expect, because they are not going to suddenly just turn up in the office and have everything given to them. There's a pressure that I found when you're hiring in a remote culture where somebody, their first day is their home, and just the psychology of that, and being comfortable, because there's a pressure and a stress on someone's first day. And how do you show up? How do you know I'm here? How do you know what's happening? So being thoughtful with communications, steady communications, from making sure people understand what is happening, when it's happening, what's happening on their first day, where do they need to be, how do they need to show up, presumably virtually, on their first day. And we package this. So when we package it, I say we've branded it internally. So what we run is what we call our Hop-in Academy. So we run it like an event. So because we have the advantage that this is a space that we work in. It's an amazing opportunity for our teams to actually play with one of our products, to actually play with the Hop-in Events platform, but we treat it like a proper event. And that was something that, coming from traditional ways of onboarding to onboarding remotely, was something that I had to kind of relearn and rethink. And the team here that I work with in our people ops team and our onboarding team do an amazing, beautiful job of really engaging, because I think that's what it's about. It's about engaging your employees as you would try to engage viewers at an event. It has to be stimulating. It has to be engaging. It has to be an opportunity to learn. It has to be an opportunity to connect and to understand and to to set the tone for how the company operates going forward. So this is just a screenshot from what we call our Hop-In Academy. You can see our chat is on. You can go into the main landing page to see what different sessions are running, go to the stage. And, if this was a live screen share, you scroll down that first page and you know where you need to be at different times. And we have like an expo booth where we'll just put in a ton of different videos and self-directed learning for downtimes between when we're not hosting a particular session, just to give people breathing space, because we are also quite conscious of this being always on camera, always available. So we try to manage our onboarding process, our academy, through a mix. So a blend of self-led learning, which is all available within the event, and then facilitated sessions, as well as then casual sessions, just to get to meet the other new people who are joining at the same time as you. We do buddies as well. So we typically, one of the things that we do, we assign somebody a buddy or a new colleague that's specific for them, because you don't know people. Typically somebody joining, you're not going to have the person sitting beside you. You're not going to have the person sitting over in the next booth opposite you. So we assign 2 people to help people really settle in. So one from your team, your direct team, who's going to help you navigate, like, oh, where do you find information on our team, who our team is, and then somebody totally different to your team. So we actually have volunteers internally. So these aren't folks from our HR team. These are other new joiners who have come in to say, hey, yeah, I'll take a few hours out of not even a few hours, but some time out of my week to be available. So they will purposely set up a call with the new hire as well, to just help them get to know other parts of the company. Because with the team buddy, what we found is that you get very siloed. You focus on what your team is doing, how your team is structured, and that's not how we want people to continue. Because going back to like connecting and collaborating and feedback, that's not possible if we operate in silos. And silos are they're so easy to fall into in any work environment, but in particular remote, because who are you talking to? If you're only just talking to your own team, you're not connected to what's happening in the rest of the business. So setting up a hop-in buddy, we just call them, which is somebody, so if you join in a technical role, we'll pair you with somebody from sales. If you join in marketing, we might pair you with somebody from product. Like it's not super strategic in terms of how we do it, but we just make sure they're from like opposite ends of the business and people that they may not necessarily typically work with. So I know I'm coming up towards time, so let me just click through the next couple. So that's our onboarding. Yeah, and this is the again, I'm apologizing for the fact we've labeled this always on culture. It should be always available. One of the things that we have that's pretty unique is within my team. So we have the broad people team, which covers everything from recruiting to people ops, reward, people development. We also have a team this is a self-labeled team that we call Vibe. It's a team that is created to look at everything we do internally through the lens of being distributed. So you can see some of the titles here from the team. So we have internal comms, internal events. We then have like different projects that we'll run. But the majority of what this team do is look at how we engage and how we connect. So this team will be responsible for our like internal knowledge base. So we use Guru. So this team will be responsible for making sure that every team is documenting, because it's critical being remote that we have to document things. And that's what I intended with the always on reference, was that it would be more so related to being able to talk to somebody when you need to, because we're so distributed. Thankfully, my team is also distributed. So you're probably always going to get to be able to talk to somebody, whatever time zone you're in, but also a lot of people just want to be self-directed, like where is information? So this team would go everything from hosting internal events, which is one of our big events, which I think we have a slide on. Like our internal all hands is one of the main events that we run. Sorry, you can't see me, but I am trying to click. So this is, I think this is our all hands. So this team also, from trying to keep it's a dual kind of function of what do we document, and then what do we need to fit, how are we engaging? So that's looking at things like using again, we use our own products. We have a weekly all hands, and it's like a show. We treat it, it is a show that we put on for our team. We have music at the top. We connect. We ensure honestly, it's my favorite part of the week. We bring people together. We do it every Friday. And again, there's different time zone issues. So we have some live, some recorded, but we try to bring the team together and just connect. Our chat is usually on fire because people get so excited by actually just physically coming together, being able to chat, hear from our founder, CEO, hear what's going on at the company, understand how are we progressing against meeting our goals. And it's a really, really exciting thing to be part of. We also run different events. We call it main stage. So these are just other examples of different events that we run to bring people together. Like instead of doing we're in so many countries, bringing people together to do an offsite once a quarter is not something that's going to be practical for us to do. So we need to figure out a way to do that remotely, and we call it main stage. And we just run different events where we theme it, we have some fun with it, but we're also trying to be realistic and transparent, and we talk about company goals and objectives, but we do try to make it engaging and fun. And I'll just skip down to we run different internal events for our team. And then also just to close on, it's like we have a broader tech stack. So for us to be able to engage, we have, sorry, this one before I just close up, this is insights. So this is one thing that I'm pretty passionate about, is that when you do actually use a platform like this or like Hopin, you do get a ton of great insights. So not only do I know that people have shown up, I know who showed up from where, I know what countries aren't engaging, because it's not like doing a town hall in a big meeting room or an event space. You can't physically see exactly everybody who's there in the room at the time, but afterwards to be able to get the analytics behind it, to see how long people stayed on for, what segments did they stay on for or not stay on for, what countries tuned in, what was the engagement like throughout the event, to me as a people leader is really golden information. But it isn't just this. There's a whole different tech stack that we use. If I can just bring up my final slide, because I know I'm at 2 minutes over. Again, I'm demonstrating. I am trying to click. There we go. So yeah, we obviously use Hopin, Slack, and I've mentioned a couple of these throughout. Slack is how we talk. Honestly, we don't really use email. The only email that we typically get internally is external from external people. Internally, we don't use email at all. I'm not sure maybe I've sent, I could count probably in these fingers the amount of emails I've sent internally. So we use Slack heavily for our internal connections, internal collaborations. We use Guru as our knowledge base, so we have all of our information. We document everything. Our process is there. We integrate. So I think the bottom two, like a Kahoot and a Donut, are more integrations that I think a lot of people, certainly Kahoot, I discovered it during COVID. I discovered it for family connection reasons before I had it for work. But we would integrate those into our different products so that we can do fun quizzes. Donut, for anybody that hasn't come across it, again, it's an integration within Slack that just connects you. So a lot of our team love this. It's like networking in an event where you can just be paired with somebody. So we'd have that in our events, but actually just doing it with a colleague through Slack. So you just get paired with somebody, you meet for 15 minutes and you get to know someone. So that's one of the other initiatives that we have. I think to sum up, it's about engaging. I think it's about ensuring that you can engage your team, give them the tools, give them the knowledge, give them what they need to succeed. That drives the innovation, that it's the empowerment of having those needs met, knowing you're supported, knowing people are open to hearing from you, and being connected to the company's mission, what we're trying to do and drive and deliver. I think innovation springs from it. I think innovation comes from that. And I think so far in our journey, we've been pretty lucky to, I think, do this well so far. But I'm always learning and always curious to hear more and learn more from what others are doing. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Absolutely jam-packed presentation there. I was scribbling notes down all the way through. No, it's fantastic. As I say, it's just full of useful nuggets of information there. I think, you touched on that, being transparent at the recruitment stage, letting people know what to expect in the future. Something I didn't consider, somebody's first day at work, they just stay at home. And like you said, they
you're
open
not
the
going
laptop.
anywhere.
Exactly. It's all thinking about their experience and guide them through. I really like the academy. That sounds really interesting, a really sort of different way of approaching it. So thank you very much. And if our audience do want to engage and connect with you, of course, they can get in touch with you on the platform.
Okay.
I'm sure you'd love to tell them all about it. As I say, we are a little bit over, so we are going to cut things off here, Sarah. But no, it's absolutely fine. But did want to say thank you very much for demonstrating the usefulness of event tech with your new clicker app there during the show. So thank you very much for getting
my
that
fault.
involved.
My fault for not keeping my phone stopping locking. So lesson learned and new tool learned. So I'm excited.
Fantastic. No, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Sarah, and being part of Event Tech Live 2021.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the event.
Thank you very much. Okay, up next, our next session is at 11:45, but just before we join that, we're going to have a short tech demo from Expo FP. Enjoy. We'll see you back very soon.